Good morning, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for the third day of Countdown to Literacy with Pandamonium Publishing House. And I hope that you have been enjoying our book so far. Each day we're going to be reading a new story and we're going to tell you where to get it, pandamoniumpublishing.com/shop, or you can go to our website and see that there is a tab on the menu that has book listing that you can pull that down and find out a little bit about each book and what the theme is and all that kind of good stuff. So we hope that you will definitely check that out. And today we are reading one of my favorite stories that I've written. And it's one of my favorite stories for a lot of reasons. Number one, that it deals with grandma and grandpas. Okay, I love grandparents. I don't have any left of my own, sadly, but I wish that I did. So I'm looking to be adopted by some new grandmas and grandpas. Okay, because I had such a special relationship with my grandmas and grandpas that I want that for every child if it's possible, because they add so much to their lives. And I miss my Nan and Papa and Oma and Opa every single day. So let's get on with the story. This is The Monster Tamer, written by Lacey L. Baker, illustrated by Alex Gubar. And it says, will Jill and Gabby tame the monsters under their bed and in their closet? They'll have to enlist the help of their grandparents, an ancient book, and key ingredients if they want a fighting chance. Here we go. And this book I wrote for Harper, who is the bravest, sassiest, cutest monster tamer I know. And that is my 3-year-old niece. She just turned 3. And I'm so excited to see them all again when we get back, because I miss them and I know that they're growing and they just bring so much chaos. And I love that about kids. So this was written this year and you can find it on our website, pandamoniumpublishing.com. Let's get started with the story. Time for bed, Jill's grandma called. We don't want to go to sleep, Jill cried. There's a monster under my bed. Jill's friend Gabby nodded. I've seen it before. Don't be silly. There's no such thing. Brush your teeth. It's called a sleepover because you're supposed to be sleeping. The girls climbed the stairs to her room, one creaky step at a time. They crept across the floor, and Jill grabbed a flashlight from the dresser. There are monsters in here, and I'm going to prove it. They tiptoed to the mattress and took a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Jill counted in her head and shone the light under the bed. The girl screamed. The monster screamed back. Jill and Gabby thundered down the stairs to the kitchen. Grandma, there's a monster taking a shower under my bed. Jill's grandma rolled her eyes. Monsters don't even exist. Don't be silly. Grandpa, you've got to believe me, Jill pleaded. There was a monster under my bed taking a shower. It was covered in bubbles and wearing a shower cap, and Jill's grandpa smiled. Show me. Jill took her grandpa by the hand and led him up the stairs while Gabby followed safely behind them. Use the flashlight, Jill instructed. We don't want to scare him. Jill's grandpa crouched on the floor and shone a flashlight under the bed. Yeah, there's a monster under there, just like you said. But Grandpa, we're telling the truth. Wait, what? I see it. Brown, furry, wearing a shower cap, covered in bubbles. Jill and Gabby couldn't believe it. They thought for sure that Grandpa would say they were making things up. What do we do now, Grandpa? Jill gulped. Well, I've never told anyone this until now. Jill's grandpa hesitated. I come from a long line of monster tamers. Monster tamers? Jill whispered. Yes, I've been taming monsters since before both of you were born. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was the most famous monster tamer that ever lived. He even wrote a manual on how to tame them. He reached into his shirt pocket and pulled out the oldest book Jill and Gabby had ever seen. Dust flew into the air as he opened. How to tame the bed monsters. Here it is. We'll need a fishing pole and a cheeseburger. Run to the garage and get my best fishing pole. Get Grandma to whip up a 7-decker cheeseburger with lettuce, pickles, mustard, ketchup, and chocolate syrup. Jill and Gabby did as they were told and ran to the garage. They picked out Grandpa's green, sparkly fishing pole and then headed to the kitchen to give Jill's grandma the cheeseburger instructions. 4.5 minutes later, Grandma constructed the burger and the girls followed. The girls climbed the steps to her room. Here you go, Jill whispered. Jill's grandpa attached the tower of meat, toppings, and bun to the end of the hook and slowly lowered the line. When he felt a tug, he started to reel the monster in. Gotcha, he exclaimed as he lifted the monster out from under the bed. Listen here, fella. You need to get your act together and stop showering under Jill's bed. Do you understand me? He shook his finger at the monster. The monster nodded, packed a suitcase, jumped out the window, landed on the trampoline, and went to find a new house. Grandpa, you're amazing. I can't believe that you got rid of the monster under my bed. I want you to have something, Jill's grandpa said as he handed her the monster taming manual. Are you sure? Jill asked as she clutched the book. I'm sure. Time for bed. Good night. Jill's grandpa hugged her, and the girls climbed into bed. Gabby whispered into the darkness. Oh, I've got a monster in my closet. You think? Jill interrupted. Let's go. The girls snuck down the stairs, across the kitchen, and into the backyard. Gabby lived just next door. Wait here, Gabby instructed as she climbed through the dog door. I'll unlock it and let you in. We've got to be quiet because my parents are asleep. Jill waited outside until the coast was clear. They shuffled quietly down the hallway to Gabby's room. Jill flung open the closet door as Gabby held her breath. She shone the light into the darkness, and there was a monster playing the harmonica. It froze and stared at the girls. Jill flipped through her book that Grandpa gave her. Closet monster, she said as she scanned the page. Here it is. We need the juice from 34 olives. Gabby ran to the kitchen and squeezed the juice from 34 olives into a spray bottle while Jill guarded the closet. Gabby returned to her room and handed Jill the bottle. We need 11 sprays, Jill said as she pulled the trigger. The monster in Gabby's closet sneezed 22 times, packed a suitcase, and jumped out the window to go to a new house. We did it, Gabby smiled. We sure did, Jill smiled back. And here are the girls putting up posters as professional monster tamers. How awesome is that? All right, so here are the types of monsters, okay? Bobby, this is from the book. Grab a handful of pistachios and put them in your left hand. When the time is right, throw, throw, throw. Remember, the pistachios need to be salted. Nick, find the biggest cat in the neighborhood. The cat will do the rest. Kelsey, just start packing her suitcase for her and open up the window in advance. She'll respect that and leave. Costa, collect 7 pairs of your longest socks and place them around his nest. The next morning he will be gone, but unfortunately, so will a few of your socks. The sacrifice is worth it. And these were created by our very own one and only Alex Gubar, and I absolutely love this book. So Alex is a digital illustrator who has completed her bachelor's degree in illustration at Sheridan College. Yay, Sheridan. She had begun her children's book illustrating adventure during her 3rd-year co-op in 2018, where I invited her to join the team, and she's been with us ever since. But she's been with us before that, it seems like, for a very long time. Alex was born in Minsk, Belarus, and is currently living in Ontario, Canada. So you can check out her stuff there too. And then we've got our kids' collections in the back. So I hope that you enjoyed The Monster Tamer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book for a second, because I had this book with my niece in mind. Okay. So she is my brother's daughter. And he would always say, you know, Harper thinks that there's monsters under the bed. And I was like, okay, let's work with this idea. And she's obsessed with olives, okay? Olives, pickles, like we're talking about pretty fancy olives. You know, the ones stuffed with garlic? Those are her jam, okay? She loves those, and so do we. And my brother, my sister, and I kind of all have the same palate in terms of what we like and what we don't like when it comes to like Mediterranean foods or condiments and all that kind of stuff, right? So we love olives, and she inherited that from us, no doubt. So that's why we have the juice of 34 olives as one of the deterrents for the monsters. And she loves going to grandma and grandpa's house, so that's why I wrote grandma and grandpa into that as well. And we love books, so we had to have one of those ancient books, of course, that holds all the keys to unlocking, getting rid of the monsters that lurk everywhere. So I hope that you enjoyed this book, and I hope that you'll join us again for our countdown to literacy with Pandamonium Publishing House. Pandamoniumpublishing.com/shop is where you can find all of our books, and pandamoniumpublishing.com is where you can find our countdown to literacy 5 days a week during December.